In a world full of bad news, this podcast is a source of good news, real talk, and real inspiration. On this show, you'll hear stories of growth, legacy, and entrepreneurship. Everyday people who overcome real challenges to build something meaningful. My name is Steven Padernacht, third generation Bronx, born and raised in the real estate game. This is the Padernacht Podcast, brick by brick. Welcome back to the Padernacht Podcast, brick by brick, where we don't just talk about buildings, we talk about the people building lives, communities, and legacies. Today's conversation is about more than just deals and dollars. It's about identity, evolution, and the lessons learned along the way. Omar Figueroa is the founder and CEO of HGRN Capital, a firm focused on investment property lending. But before the titles and the transactions, he's a father, a brother, and a husband. And it's those roles and roots that have shaped the man behind the mission. In this episode, we explore the path that led Omar from a public school kid in New York to a leader in real estate and finance. We talk about hard money, yes, but we also talk about the hard moments, the mindset shifts, and the mentors that helped him keep him grounded. This one's for anyone building something bigger than themselves. So here we go, buddy.
Wow. Yo, man, listen, like I said before, I'll say it again. Hanging out with different people make you level up. I'm about to go get ChatGPT and start making my new shit going on. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
What goes through your mind when you're hearing somebody talk about you?
You know, that's a great question. You kind of forget. I'm a big believer in putting your head down and going forward, right? So sometimes you don't bring your head up. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you look back and you be like, see how far you've come, right? Mm-hmm. And the struggles that you think are struggles now compared to what you really struggled with in the past, they ain't struggles. They're first world problems. Like I was telling you before, they're first world problems. Yeah, I want a pool. Okay. The struggle's real, right? Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of what I think about. I think about the things of the way I thought life was when I first started and where I'm at now. And even for all like the tragedies and things that happen, because life's, right? Yep. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to play. I'm happy to be here for the whatever short time we're going to be on here. Yeah. I'm going to play hard. Yeah.
And so you started, you and I are from the same community, basically, yes, right?
BX.
Kingsbridge?
BX. Yeah.
See, I was.
I saw the shirt. I'm big on subliminals. Yeah. And shout out to Amari Galvez from the Bronx native because he's another BX boy. Yeah. Yeah, the BX is different. I mean, I have friends from my wife's from Brooklyn, and
718. We'll give her a grace.
Yeah, we'll give her a grace. And it's just funny how the Bronx, especially if you grew up at a certain time, was like a different nation, right?
Yeah.
It was like a different nation. And when I try to convey certain messages to my kids and stuff like that, or even younger people, they look at me like I'm lying, and they'll see movies, and I'm like, yeah, that's legit, or nah, it's bullshit. And I'm like, it's hard. I think I use this term a lot, and you probably heard it before. Like, we grew up in the jungle. My kids grew up in the zoo, where they could see the animals, but they won't get attacked. If your head wasn't on a swivel, you could die out there. And I know it sounds morbid, but in the 80s, that's what it was. That's what it was.
I remember being a kid and just, you had to watch your back just walking home from school.
Absolutely.
Like so, like we're pretty similar generations, right? Like they were stealing hats. They were stealing sneakers,
your jackets,
right? Your jackets, like starter jackets and book bags. And if you had like a JanSport bag.
What about the Lee patches? Do you remember that? They were ripping people's pants off.
So that's a bit before my time.
Okay.
That's a bit before
I just showed my age.
Time.
All right, I'm guilty. I'm older.
But yeah, dude, like just walking home from school, you had to just kind of be careful. And so like, I was a product of public school up until about 5th grade. Then my mom took me out, put me in Catholic school. So now walking home in the Bronx with a Catholic school uniform, it's like...
You had a target, brother.
Yes.
How many kids like I knew that went to Fordham Prep and then they're coming out, I think it's Evander? Is that the school, Morris?
No, it's you're talking about right there
Evander's
on Fordham,
Gun
right?
Hill, right? So isn't it Morris High School?
No, I think
it's a big public high school.
Yeah.
So they would have to put hoodies on to get on the bus.
We changed our shoes.
Yeah.
Put on sneakers, and then if you wore like black pants, you just put on a jacket, and they didn't realize that you had on the shirt and tie.
Yeah.
The warmer months were a little more difficult.
The uniform was crazy, man. I went to Lehman. I remember all the private school kids would go to Westchester Square.
Yep.
right? And then how many fights broke out there because, whatever, you were in the wrong colors, whatever. It is what it is.
Well, they wanted to test the Catholic school kids, because it's like, oh, you're from Catholic school, you're probably a punk.
Yeah.
And it's like,
it was just a little bit of jealousy. That's all it was.
Maybe jealousy. Well, who the hell knows why kids do what they do, or teenagers do what they do, or troublemakers do what they do, But, all right, so grew up in the Bronx, right? So you went to PS 86?
PS 86, PS 143. Then my mom remarried, moved me up to the other side of the Bronx, Pelham Bay, which was really decent at the time. Lehman High School, and then I went to NYU.
Gotcha. All right, so legit everything in New York City.
Everything.
You are legit.
I am New York everything. New York everything. Yeah, absolutely.
NYU. So, I mean, listen, it probably wasn't too many kids going from Lehman High School to NYU.
I think I was the only one.
I was about to say, like that.
There may have been an Asian kid. I don't want to be politically incorrect, but we weren't hanging out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like my homeboy was going, right?
I don't know too much about Lehman High School, but I can't imagine that the curriculum, there must have been a curriculum shock when you ended up at NYU coming from Lehman.
Well, I was in the college prep programs. At 143, I was in like the gifted, whatever, but I never really felt like I fit in because, it's not to say, not saying it to kind of separate, but usually the gifted kids were like socially awkward, right? So all my friends from the apartment building, when we went to school, we would walk to school together. Mm-hmm. And then I would go to the A class and they would go to DEF, right? And then we would see each other at recess and then we see each other at home. But the people I was around in curriculum were not the people I socialized with, which was pretty, now that I talk to you about it, it was pretty interesting, right? So I can speak different languages, right?
Yeah, and you could kind of fit into different circles.
Yeah. And
from a very young age, you were taught that, okay, when I'm with this group of people, I have to not necessarily act a certain way, but I have to level my game up.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, this is the culture, right? So I'm glad you said that because I hear this all the time and I don't agree with it, right? You talk about code switching, right?
Yeah.
People code switch. I was talking to somebody the other day. I said, look, you can't speak to a professor or a doctor in the same vernacular you can speak to your homeboy.
Of course.
Right? They're not going to understand it. And now I'm going to date myself. Some of the slang that my kids are starting to use, I'm like, what are you talking about? Yeah. What is that?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like Riz. Like, come on, what is that?
Whatever the 6'7" shit is.
I don't even know what that is.
Me neither. Me
But
neither.
now we're becoming those guys, right? Now we're becoming those guys.
Back in my day.
Now we OGs. Now I'm not an unk. I'm an OG.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yes, being able to, I guess, code switch or you can't talk to a teacher the same way you're going to talk to your homeboys. You got to be able to do it. And it's not necessarily, because some people will be like, oh, you're just faking, you're pretending. No, dude, I am actually fitting into the environment that I'm in right now. It doesn't change who I am as a person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, so tell me a little bit about NYU. So you were, we had an interesting conversation. Your major was, tell me a little bit about that.
The streets is what? No, Metropolitan Studies. The study of, it's a hybrid between sociology and psychology. It's why did people, not to start teaching everybody, but why did people start going to cities? Well, because they had to go to work, right? The certain ages where the factories were created, then people had to be local and locals, and then the psychology behind that. Why do they live there? Why do they do this? And it became that, and I don't even know how it transmorphed into where I'm at now, but it became pretty useful because I can look at like Rust Belt states like Pennsylvania, and I can see why there was a migration of people. I can see, and I can explain it.
Yep.
And that was just that wasn't by design. That was just fucking lucky.
Well, so Metropolitan Studies.
Yes.
So we're just gonna call that street studies. Street knowledge.
Street knowledge.
How did you end up with that major?
I started in psychology, and then a good friend of mine, who's an acting, she's in government right now. I don't want to talk about her name, but she was like, "Oh, I took this is a pretty easy major." She's like, "Look into that." And I was like, "I bet," because we're there, we don't really know what you want to do. Like like kids at home, like nobody expects you to know what the fuck you want to do.
But they're asking you to choose
right.
what your career path is going to be at 18 years old.
Right.
Makes zero sense.
Yeah, you gotta know what you want, but. The truth of the matter is school, and I was talking to Claudio off camera, school is a great place to basically open your mind to different things. That's all it is. Because you're going to meet, like I met really rich people. I met people from California. And I'm from the Bronx, right? So like, you're from Cali and you hear the little, hey y'all, and they talk different and you're like, yo, and then you start appreciating that shit. And of course, I'm in the city, I'm in Greenwich Village. So everybody's hanging out and it's like a melting pot. So you start to really appreciate the other cultures, right, and understand them. I mean, going back to Washington Square Park, back in the day, it was the Jamaican guys always selling weed.
Oh yeah,
smoke. Now it's all legal, but I remember all that, right? I remember going to class and you have to like ditch and dive and stuff like that. Yeah, it was dope.
Well, the movie Kids really brought out Washington Square Park and really kind of
narrated that.
And kind of really told that story on a wider basis. Like we knew about it because we're from the city,
right?
But your average person from whatever, PA or Florida or whatever, never knew that was what the environment was. When you walk into that park, you're gonna have 50 people asking you if you want to buy a nickel bag of weed or whatever the case may be, and you could end up getting into a fight, get a skateboard smacked over your head.
Yeah.
If you said the wrong thing or stepped out of line.
Us talking about it now is crazy. Like going back to like first world problems, right? Like now that I'm in Westchester and stuff like that, I go down there, I'm like, oh, this is too busy. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, and even driving the city, you got the fucking scooter guys and this. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna kill somebody, right? Yeah, it's funny, but back when I was young, you know, like we come off the train. You know, here's the world. You know, let's check it out. And you're like, you're full of ideas and shit like that. Now we kind of feel like we know what we're doing, and we're like, nah, we're good. I'm gonna go back home.
Yeah. Well, think about it, right? Like you came from the Bronx and you ended up now down at NYU. Like the NYU, that area down there is completely different than the dudes hanging out in front of the bodega.
Absolutely, Castle Hill.
Exactly, much different environment. Now you're there, like you said. Now, granted, the Bronx is a melting pot, right? But Manhattan is a completely different animal. So, what are you, 18, 19 years old now?
So I got into college at 17.
There you go.
But let's go into the word, right? Socioeconomic differences, right? Like socially, you're exchanging with different people in a different way. Economics are totally different. Like the things that I think are impossible are just a Monday to them, right? They're like, yo, I'm buying this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And like, you're like, what? Mm-hmm. And then you start getting your eyes open to, yo, the world moves in a bigger scale. And that's what I believe helped me start aspiring. Like I was like, I want to get in on this. I want to know what this is. Like, you know, why don't I know? And, you know, going back to like access, right? Like I met some guys or girls that their parents were CEOs of companies. Like I never met a CEO before. Right? Yeah, like nobody. Like those lawyers and doctors, that was so far-fetched. From where I came from. Like, you know, my mom was a meat wrapper. Like, you know, like it's a very different socioeconomic situation. So I say that to explain to people, like, you know, like when you go into a new place, you got to be open to try to take it in, because that's how you expand your head. Like your brain expands if you allow it to. If you stay closed off, you're gonna just want to go back. And we could talk about institutionalization, right? People, they come out of prison, they don't like, it's too much out here. They want to go back. And to me, that's the craziest shit I've ever heard in my life. Yeah, I know. But there's people like that.
Or people who come out and end up like wanting to like have suicidal, who end up having, not wanting to, but have suicidal thoughts because they're like, yo, I can't deal with all of this.
This is too much.
One of the terms that I actually have learned to appreciate from the newer generation is overstimulated.
Okay.
Right?
Okay,
like for me, like now I can actually identify like when there's too much shit going on.
You can understand.
And I'm just like, yo, wait a second, I'm overstimulated. Really like resonate, like, wait a second, all right, cool. Let me just take a step back.
Yeah, let me take a breath. Let me take a second.
And realize what's going on, and then understand that like I got too many people, too many things going on, too many tabs open on my computer, whatever the case may be. Like, or if like I'm trying to do something, then all of a sudden the TV's on, I'm like, wait a second, why can't I focus? It's because I'm overstimulated.
Yeah. Overstimulation leads to being overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Right? And then that's when you become no good. You're like, wow. And then everything you become emotionally destabilized, right? Psychology term. And then you start flipping out on everything. You become crash out, right? For a term for the kids that they know, you become a crash out guy. And I'm like, that's the one thing you don't want to be. You want to kind of stay centered. Stay centered. And so that's hard, especially in today's day and age.
And just speaking about crashing out, right? Like you could just open up your phone and look at all the different people who are just crashing out over different things. And it's because they feel overwhelmed, they're overstimulated, and they can't kind of know how to deal with it. And I think that kind of leads to like a deeper discussion, which obviously we're not going to get too far into, but over
episode 2 is coming.
Yeah, over like mental health.
Yeah.
And like, you know, we didn't talk about that. Like I didn't grow up in a household where it was like, let's talk about your feelings.
Yeah.
It was like,
you told a man up.
Yeah, like what are you doing?
Nobody got time for that.
If you fell and you had a cut, it was like, all right, wipe it off, get up, keep going. And now today's society, it's a completely different ball game, and everybody is so. And I do agree that there has to be a larger conversation about mental health, but to a degree, I feel like we've also softened up as a society where it's like at certain times you don't necessarily need to blame it on mental health. Like it's really like just man up at a certain point.
I had a great conversation yesterday. The person I spoke to will remain anonymous, but they were like, "Yo, just tell me what I got to do. I'm gonna just do it," and that is lacking now. That is now everything. I don't know if I feel like it. Like, so where I
feel,
right? where I come from, like, if I didn't do it, there was nobody to call. I didn't have a dad, so I wasn't going to eat. So that's kind of what propelled me forward, right? Now everybody feels like they want to do it on their terms and this and that. And, I'm a parent. I maybe I've given too much to my kids. And one of my sons has told me that, Dad, you've removed so many barriers that I got to get my grit. He told me that I got to get my grit, and I really appreciate that. But the other part comes to, like, you got to have that balance. Like, there's a time and a place for everything, but it can't be every day.
Yeah.
You can't be every day, I got to talk about how we working, how we doing stuff, right? Just let's go into the workflow. You manage people, right?
Yep.
I manage people too. Like, I understand that people have feelings and they have issues. I understand that. But our relationship is really based on performance, and performance dictates everything. So after the clock rings, or whatever metaphor you want to use, you want to chop, we could chop. Yep. But during this time, I can't hear about that. Yeah. Like, and listen, I struggled with it when my mother was sick and all that, but I wasn't talking about it all day. I was working. Working actually helped me. It therapized me because it helped me kind of like focus. Right.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up, only because, like, people they look at me in the office and I got my head down and I'm focused and I'm just like, all right, cool. So I'm on the phone, I'm making calls, I'm doing this. I step out the office to the larger bullpen and I'll just make my way to the kitchen. I'll have my lunch. Boom. If I got to whatever, take a leak, go to the bathroom, blah, blah, go for a walk, come back in. Like, I'm not sitting there fraternizing.
You're disciplined.
I'm there to work. I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, and people mistake it like, oh, but you're not so friendly with everybody. It's not that I'm not friendly.
There's
it's
a time to be friendly.
To work.
Yeah, there's a time to be friendly.
You see that name right there? Number 1 on the board. How am I going to continue to do that if I'm sitting here fraternizing all day?
Right.
But people mistake that for, like, nobody really calls me rude per se, but they just say that I'm super focused and they don't really know how to joke with me. But I'm like, come catch me after 6 p.m.
Let's talk about entrepreneurship for a second. Let's talk about entrepreneurship, because real estate lending, owning your own platform is entrepreneurship.
Yes.
You wake up every day with no promise of making any money.
No.
The bills are going to come at the end of the month. They're going to show up no matter what. They're the first ones to show up.
Yep.
And you got to go into it with a positive attitude. Rain, snow, sun, it doesn't matter if it went well, if the deal closed, if it got none of that matters. Every day you got to go in with that positive mindset. So that's a discipline. Yeah. And that's where there's a proliferation, and I'm not shitting on it, coaching and this and that. Coaching can help you maybe unlock certain blind spots that you have, but if you don't have use Kobe, the mama mentality, if you don't have it, I can't give it to you. You can hang out with me all you want. Osmosis doesn't work that way. It doesn't, like, you got to have something to cultivate, and you have to develop that within yourself.
Well, that's called ambition.
Well, drive
Discipline,
and ambition,
right? Yeah.
Drive. They all relate. They all hang out in the same place, right?
Yeah, they're like cousins.
But it has to be close. Like, it has to be clear to you what you want, and then you build out your plan from there. The problem is that everybody wants what they see, like the car, the house, or this, but all right, what gets us there, right? With revenue. Like, I was telling somebody else yesterday, revenue drives everything. Like,
yes, of course.
Everything, like, there is no take a day off if your revenue's not there. There's no...
You got to produce.
Right, there's no health insurance. Like, because I was talking, I'm not leaving my job because it's... And I'm like, yeah, well, if you make an extra $30,000 a year, there's your health insurance.
Exactly.
Like, I know the numbers because I pay for them, right?
Yeah.
Like, so to me, it's like, I'm not giving them my dream. I just got to make an extra 30.
Yeah.
We're good.
And then you start thinking, like, okay, cool. Well, how do I make the 30? All right, cool. Well, 30 is what 2 deals, 3 deals? All right, cool. So what do I got to do? I got to make an extra 50 calls per month to be able to get, if you know your numbers and you know what you're doing. But going back to what you were saying before, like, yes, you have to have that ambition and you have to have that drive. I tell people all the time, like, so I'm the PC coach, the productivity coach in my office. And the first conversation always is like, okay, it sounds just like this. So why'd you get into real estate? Oh, because I want to make extra money. I want to do this.
Extra money, not money.
I want to make extra money, or I want to leave my job, or I want to be self-employed, or I want to be this. So I always say to them, what are you willing to give up? And they're like, what do you mean give up? I'm like, well, I'm not going to ask you what are you willing to do, because you're going to tell me that you're going to make 500 calls a month. You're going to tell me that you're going to work, whatever hours a month. But are you willing to give up your Saturday mornings? Are you willing to give up your every night until 7, 8 o'clock to make the calls? Are you willing to show up here when you don't feel like showing up?
Are you willing to sacrifice?
Peaks and valleys. Every single day you're going to wake up, you're going to have some highs, you're going to have some lows. Your job is to stay in the middle and understand that you are not just an employee here, you're also the owner. Mm-hmm. So somebody who works a 9 to 5, they show up and they have a to-do list on their desk. And somebody, whether it's the owner of the company, the manager, whatever, says, hey, you got to do these 50 tasks. You're now the person that has to make up the task list and do the tasks. And if you can't do those tasks, then you're not built for this.
It ain't getting done. Yeah, absolutely. So after the meeting, how's it usually go?
Well, everybody's different, right?
Okay, right.
It's 80-20 rule. So if I'm sitting with 10 people, 20% of those people, 2 out of the 10 will end up becoming successful. The other 8 are just gonna, they're kind of just window shopping, and they realize that, hey, this is not for me. Let me go out and get a job. And that's not to knock it, because I feel like this life is here for us to experience different things and to learn not necessarily what you do want to do, but what you don't want to do.
Yeah.
And, listen, me personally, I haven't had a job. I'm 44 now. Am I 44? I'm 44 now.
Okay. Had to think about that.
Yeah, I had to think about that. But I haven't had a job since I left college.
Right. Like You've been self-employed.
Been self-employed. Right. So like when I first got out of college, my pops basically put me into his school of real estate for 1 year. He paid me, I think it was either $300 or $500 a week for a year. Okay. After that year, what he told me, he was like, listen, you'll never have to depend on another person for a paycheck for the rest of your life. Right. He taught me how to make money. Okay. And from that point, I was 22, 23, whatever it was. I haven't had a job since. Okay. So I had to wake up every single morning and figure out.
And make it happen.
For a while, it was renting apartments, like back in those days. And like it kind of went with the market. So like I started in 2005. 2008 was the crash. Anybody with a pulse could have got a mortgage from 2005 to 2000. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful time.
It was nirvana.
To be a new real estate. I was a new realtor, and somebody would say to me, "Hey, I wanna buy a house." Great.
Yeah, I got somebody. Yeah.
Call this guy.
Yeah.
And they were pre-approved, and they were able to. It was amazing until 2008. Yeah. And then it became a different market.
Then the other shoe dropped.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you got to have that ambition, and I think you and I are very similar in that regard, where it's like it doesn't matter. Like you just got to get the shit done.
Right. I mean, that's part one, and then part two to it would be this, right? Like people have to understand that if they're making this their career, the relationships they establish are what's going to take them through their career. So don't churn and burn, or don't try to like for $10 like stick it to somebody. And I've seen that too many times, right? Yeah. And that's okay if you learn a lesson after the first couple of times, but if you kind of see that always happen, if like for example, if you always have to look for new clients and you've been doing this for a long time, there's a problem. Yep. There's a problem. You should have in and out. You should have people coming back. Yeah. I'm leveling up. I want to buy a bigger house. I want to go smaller. I want to buy something else. What do you think about this? Right. I just got a big lawsuit. What do I do with my money? Like those should be the conversations that you have. And if you don't have them, then you're not doing something right in the servicing of your client and your business plan altogether.
My father, who was my mentor in the business, he taught me something very important. He said, your reputation shows up before you do.
Absolutely.
And if you're known as somebody that somebody can't work with, especially like dealing with lenders, dealing with realtors, dealing with, title people, dealing with attorneys, right? So whenever I'm talking to somebody on the phone and they're like, yeah, so I have an attorney, cool. Who's the attorney? I want to see if I know them and my experience with them.
Yeah. You're hoping it's a good one. Yeah.
But like he taught me, like you have to keep your reputation. And your name is the only thing that can never be tarnished, because once it's tarnished, especially in this business, especially Bronx real estate. Bronx real estate is such a small...
It's very secular. Yeah, I'll agree.
It's very small, though. Everybody kind of knows everybody to a degree if you're moving and shaking. One of the things you said to me was like, listen, if it's somebody who's actually doing deals...
I probably know.
I probably know.
I see you at the table. Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
So, like, you got to keep your name right. You got to keep your reputation, and don't burn somebody over a short term, like, like you never screw somebody. You can't. I'd rather keep my name right and lose money than make an extra couple dollars.
To add on what you're saying, besides screwing people, like what I would say is also like know your craft, right? Like I'll give you an example of a deal that I did where we had, I had this client that didn't speak English. He had a lawsuit. He was looking for a condo. And so this is before the law changed where you had to get a buyer agreement. Okay. I used to always have them because this guy was high maintenance. I'd drive him, I'd do this. I was like, yo, this is what you're going to pay me. Yeah. And he was cool with it. Yep. So
this is you acting in the capacity
as a real estate broker. Okay. Because one of my attorneys, so I have a group of attorneys that refer me their people because they know they're going to get taken care of, right? Yep. And going back to my name, right? They know I'll always fly straight. They'll know what's up. So he calls me up on a Sunday. He goes, oh, Omar, I went to see the property. I made an offer already. The listing agents will call you. I was like, oh, okay. So he went on Zillow. He pressed get an agent. Yeah. Another agent told him to show up. He said he was a listing agent, or maybe there was a language barrier. Whatever. I'm not here to argue that. But actually, guy gave me a good review, so we're good. Anyway, so he goes to see it. He wants to make an offer. It's all cash. The listing agent calls me, who happens to know me. She goes, "Hey, Omar, listen, just letting you know, another agent came to show it to him. Just make that right, And the offer is yours, right? Make that right." So I call the guy. I say, "Hey, man, my name is Omar." I'm like, "Did you get anything signed with this guy?" He goes, "No." I was like, "All right, so this is what we're gonna do." I said, I have something signed. I said, I'm going to cut you in for a point.
Yep.
Just step to the side. I'll handle it. At closing, you get paid.
Yep.
He was like, bet.
Yeah.
Great.
It's perfect.
And that's exactly what I did, right? But going back to knowing about buyer's agreements.
Yeah.
So because now everybody's like, oh my God, buyer's like, bro, this has been around forever.
Of course.
Yeah, but not for so most people when they get into it, the seller's paying me. Oh, it's free. Oh, no, it ain't not free, homie. Like read the details, right? Read the contracts.
Well, don't even say I don't even like to use the word contract. Just read the agreements. Okay. An exclusive right to sell, an exclusive right to represent. Just know those basic things.
Know the vernacular, right?
Yeah.
Right. So what happened now? The proliferation of making that so some agents have a serious problem getting buyers agreement. I'm like, if you're providing value, there should be no issue. There should be business as usual, right? Business as usual. I've never had an issue with it. Other agents are struggling with it. The guy doesn't want to pay me. I was like, well, all you're doing is sending Zillow fucking listings and saying go show up. Like, what are you doing?
Of course, you're gonna have a difficult time.
What are you providing? Right. Yep. So it becomes that, like going into just sidestepping into our business, whereas some people might tune into the podcast and want to like, yo, why, how are they thriving? Well, these are some of the things that we do, right? And we know our shit. So maybe you should know your shit, right? Going back to you, when they sit down with you and when I have a productivity meeting, I got to learn more rules. I got to learn more legislation. You have to learn these things to speak intelligently, because if you get involved with the right client and they're hip to the game, they'll rock you. They'll be like, oh man, I don't have to pay you, see you later. But like, what? Yeah, I've had that. I've had people get sidestepped and they're like, yo, is my agreement there? I'm like, now I'm on the lender side.
Yep.
On the lender side, they're like, yo, is my agreement on the HUD? Is my fee on the HUD? I'm like, nah, I don't see it, bro. They be like, but he didn't. I'm like, wait, hold on. That's not my job. No. I was like, that's not my job. I said, I'll hold the closing until we kind of straighten this out.
But if they're already calling you, by the time the HUD comes out, you're talking about you're already ready to close.
Yes.
So if you're coming, you're late to the party, homeboy.
No, I remember one in particular, guys. Like, I was like, yo, is your fee 1%? Because this is what I see. He was like, no, it's supposed to be 3%. I was like,
have a conversation.
You better call your client. You better call a listing agent. It was a crazy deal. They eventually paid him. It was a crazy deal out of Queens, and these guys, I don't know what they were doing. So anyway, the client paid a lot of points.
But going back to the conversation, like you're right. Know your craft, know the vernacular, learn the difference between a buyer's agent, a listing agent, a dual agent. You know how many realtors, if I asked them, explain to me dual agency, they couldn't explain it?
Representing seller and the buyer, right? Both holding confidence and holding confidentiality. That shit is hard, bro.
Yeah.
That shit is hard.
I don't even like to be a dual agent.
Yeah.
I don't, because part of my conversation when I'm talking to buyers is that what they're getting with me is they're getting that fiduciary responsibility.
Right.
So I tell them that it's very, very rare that you're going to have a dual agency, but I want to explain it to you anyway. 99% of the time, if there is a dual agency, because KW is such a big company, 150 agents, like if the agency is actually with the broker, it's not with me, you're going to check this box, which will show with a designated agent. And then you would technically, or whoever the other agent is, they would be representing the seller. I'd be representing you because I want to keep your fiduciary responsibility.
Right. I think it was very easy during the 08, 09 meltdowns when doing short sales, because the sellers want to get out. They were like, yo, man, take the house as is, whatever, we get the short sale approved. That was a different thing. But now when we're dealing, especially when you're dealing with larger numbers, your clients expect service.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and the more well off my clients are, the more they expect.
You know what I tell my clients? I say, look, this transaction, for those first-time buyers or people who haven't really been in a transaction before, what I tell them is, I'm like, it's going to be a lot of speed up to slow down. Yeah. It's going to be very busy in the beginning, right? We're going to be putting offers in. We're going to be talking a lot. We're going to do the inspection. We're going to do all this. But then it's going to get quiet for a while. And it's going to be you dealing with the lender, going through underwriting, doing all that stuff. You and I aren't going to be in contact as often. But I'm going to be monitoring the situation at all times with the lender to make sure that there's no issues with your underwriting.
That's a great explanation, man.
Yeah, and then it's going to get busy again.
Right.
And then it's going to slow down again, and then all of a sudden it's going to get so like if they're expecting that, then they know that like, hey, if I'm not talking to my agent every single day like I was in the beginning, there's nothing wrong.
What's the saying? Under promise and over deliver.
Yeah.
Right. So you're setting expectation from the beginning.
Yep.
And then if it turns out the other way, you're a superstar.
Exactly.
If not, yo, it's par for the course. This is what he said was going to happen, right? Yeah, it's actually really good.
Yeah, it's also kind of like setting those expectations. What I also do is I try to tell people like, look, So throughout the transaction, you're gonna be dealing with the attorney more than you're dealing with me. But I don't want you to think that I'm not in the loop. So please keep me on the emails, because some attorneys, they'll just take you off the email chain, and like you're dealing with going back to.
Let's talk about that for a second. Now that since you touched on it, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So I love you attorneys, but there's a serious lack of there's a lack of respect among certain professions,
dude,
that I feel is like the realtor is usually the inception of the idea, right? I'm showing you property.
Yeah.
You want to buy this property? All right. You need an attorney. You have one. All right. Like, so think about that. Like, if we talk about marketing, attorneys would have to market a lot more and pay more money to get clients. So when another one, because my other boy hit me up the other day, he was like, yo, there was shortage, and everybody's looking at me because he's the realtor.
And
they're like, yeah, cover. I was like, and what'd you do? He goes, I went outside. I went outside to let him figure it out. I mean, I have a lot of good relationships, but I've seen a lot of craziness.
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of craziness. You're like, yo, come on, bro, really? And we're supposed to all be on the same team here. And all of a sudden, like you said, they take you off an email. Why not? Oh, why wouldn't he want to know? Well, he's the one who brought the deal, showed the guy like 100 houses or a girl.
Negotiated the deal.
Right. Got us to the sales price, right? Inspection, mortgage, whatever the details are. Right, absolutely, right. So you're actually an extension of the actual beginning of the negotiation.
Yep.
Right? But some of them don't see it that way. Some of them do. Some of them, yeah. I don't want to get you. Don't crash out. Don't crash out, Steve. I just want to touch on it just for a second. Professional courtesy. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. This message, and I'm going to make sure I grab my camera. This message is for you attorneys out there. I'm really glad you brought this up.
I love you.
Thank you. You attorneys out there, please.
This is water.
Please understand that we're here to work with you, not against you. Granted, you might have you definitely did, hopefully, went to law school, passed the bar, did all this, but you're not better and or smarter. We negotiated the terms. You're there to make sure that it's legally allowed to do, and you're there to make sure that the clients are protected, not to change the entire deal. And if you do, let's have a conversation about it. So I'm going to end my rant now.
Side piece. Yeah, side note.
Yeah.
No, sidebar. I mean, look, we got to talk about it because as a practitioner, meaning somebody who's doing business, we run into this shit all day, every day.
All day.
Yeah. And
how many deals have died because attorneys don't respond? How long does it take to send out a contract? How long does it take to send comments back, redline it? How long does it take to do these things? And then they give me, I'm busy. Like, wait, then you know what? Let me find somebody else who's not.
Oh, no. Now I got to go on my rant. So if you're going to have a real estate office or division, you shouldn't just be a sole practitioner who's in court most of the day. That's not fair either, bro. Like, come on, bro. Like, come on.
Not at all.
We're trying to move, and we can't wait till after 5 or whenever court's finished, and then getting those random emails at 9 o'clock at night. Who the fuck is fucking answering the email at 9 o'clock at night?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, come on, bro. Like, all right, that's my rant.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't much of a rant.
Get paralegals. Get the system.
That wasn't much of a rant. But when I first started, like those that when they're in court all day, the attorneys that are in court all day, that's the equivalent to the like apartment rentals, right? Like that's their bread and butter. So like, all right, cool. So if I just have this if I get X amount of clients that I could represent, I know that I'm going to have my base covered on a monthly basis, and then I'll do the contracts as extra.
Right.
You can't look at it like that. You have to, going back to our conversation about before, is that your reputation shows up before you do. Like, you have to work as diligently on the don't take it then.
Yeah.
Or listen, I've seen a lot of attorneys, they've changed it over the past couple of years where like, all right, cool, I'm going to take a retainer. That way in case it doesn't close or whatever. And you know what? At first I was like, you can't do that. But then I thought about it. I'm like, they're putting in some work. They have some overhead. Take the retainer.
Yeah, sometimes a lot of deals die too, and they're writing up contracts and they're moving it. So the guys I deal with usually take half up front and half the closing. That's what they do, which is legit. And then they'll transfer it to a new deal if the first deal dies. Something like that works.
There's some people that don't do that though, and they wait for the closing.
That's the old school way. Yeah. But that's why you have the avant-garde attitude. Like whatever. I don't get paid.
And they're getting a flat fee. And they're like, the realtor's making X amount of percentage. Like, don't worry about what I'm making. I put this deal together.
Don't pocket watch. Guys.
Don't pocket watch.
Damn, we got a lot of sidebars today. Yeah. Don't pocket watch.
All right, we kind of, I want to go back to, I want to go back to young Omar.
Okay.
Right? So how did you end up, did you always know that you wanted to be an entrepreneur? Like you said that we talked about your major, right? But that doesn't necessarily lead to, how does it lead to entrepreneurship?
No, so I, obviously, I grew up in the Bronx where you see a lot of guys on the street making money. So originally I was like, wow, that's cool. And I had some OGs that when I was in college, you know, I was like, yo, I was like very curious, and they were like, yo, this ain't for you, man. You speaking like the guys I knew were from out of the country, and they're like, it's not for you. Go to school, do your thing. Like he's like, this is because I got nothing else, right? So there's that, but I also had friends that, you know, owned restaurants. We talked about that before. And I always saw like I wanted to always control my own destiny. I worked 2 jobs. At one point, I was working as a personal trainer, waiter, and doorman. This is when I had my first child at 19, 20. And there was only so many hours in the day, bro. And I was coming home with, I'm gonna make up a number. Let's say for the week, 2,500, which is a lot back then. But I was killing myself. And I was like, there gotta be a better way.
Breaking your back.
I was like, there gotta be a better way than this. This is crazy. And then watching my mother, right? Watching my mother wake up at 6 a.m., come home at 6 p.m., in the freezer all day. My step-pops, the butcher, like, it was cool, but it was, to me, I was like, there's a better way. And I've been very lucky where a lot of people that I came in contact with were like, yo, you're gonna use your brain. I got a lot of positive feedback. Like, you're smart. You're gonna be using your brain. You're not gonna be breaking your back like this. And it came from the right people that were in certain positions of life. And I was like, I took it to heart. I was like, okay, cool, because it gave me that belief, right? That belief system where, like, you know, if you're around 10 broke people, you'd be 11. So I was luckily that I was intelligent enough that when I worked for people, you know, I built a relationship. I wasn't just like, you know, the kid that like never. I was always at work. I was diligent, right? I was diligent. So they, you know, as an employer, right, in some sort of capacity, you love that shit, right? When you feel somebody's like helping you pull the boat, you're like, yo, I want to pour into this person because yo, that I see potential.
Yes.
So I've been lucky that I've always been a hard worker, and then I've been around people that saw my potential and always gave me like some positive feedback, and that always just kind of expanded my mind to my belief system being like, I could do more. I could do this. I could do that. And sometimes, you know, you just got to be fucking stubborn. Just, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try. Like, I remember I opened my liquor store in '99. My mom and my stepfather were like, "Are you crazy?" I was like, "I'm gonna try it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try it." And it just kept going. And I kept trying, and here we are.
But when you graduated college, I'm gonna just get a point. When you graduated college, it was like, hey, I'm gonna go out and get a job, or was it like immediately you started?
No, I graduated
businesses?
college. I applied to like Morgan Stanley, Amex, like all the big institutions, and they're like, you don't have the right degree and stuff like that. So I was like, fuck it. And I went the other way. Yeah, I tried to. I wasn't like trying to kill myself to do it, but I did like the regular. You send out your resume.
Yep.
You go for interviews. You know, like. And again, I think the big thing with me was that I didn't have anybody that I could talk to about that. Nobody in my family mentors. Was white collar. Everybody was blue collar. Yep. So it just wasn't the way for me. And then I got recruited into mortgages and started wearing suits and stuff like that. And I wore suits for a long time. And I think that built credibility for myself. And also it made me feel like I was professional, right? Because I dressed a certain way. But after a certain amount of time, then you know that professionalism has nothing to do with what you're wearing. It's who you are and what you bring to the table, what value, right? Yep. So then that's where I kind of graduated. But after I do the construction at Soundview, I'm gonna go on a suit run again. I think I want to get sexy again. I lately I've been like, you know, I got dressed up for his closing recently because my clients were very big fashionistas, and I felt kind of good. I was like, well, I look kind of sexy. All right, I might have to pull out the shoes again
once in a while.
Yeah.
All right, so your career in real estate started with you working for like a mortgage lender
my career in real estate started for so I've told the story before. I was at the liquor store. And one of my
liquor store that you owned,
99, and on South Bronx, 159 3rd Avenue, and my boy Chris calls me. He still works at a bank right now, and he's like, "Yo, my boss wants to meet you." So first of all, I haven't spoken to Chris in years. I'm like, "All right." I was like, "For what?" He's like, "He wants to buy some shit in the Bronx," but I told him, "You lit, you Omar, you the guy." So he's talking me up. So I'm like, "Okay, send him down."
Yeah.
So my man pulls up, and we have a meeting, and he's telling me, "Listen, I'm originally from the Bronx. I want to start investing in the Bronx again, but these people won't talk to me." He's a white Jewish guy. Yep. And he was like, if you can find me properties that are below market. He's explaining all this shit. I have no idea what he's talking about. I'm like, okay. I'm just taking it in. I'm like, okay. He's like, so you find me a property. I like it. I buy it. I pay you 6%. So those things I understood. I was like, 6% of the sales price? He's like, yeah. So I was like, bet. So I find one. We close it. It was like 30,000. I was like, okay. And then I do another one.
It's a lot of bottles of liquor.
Right. No, I'm thinking, Hennessy, I'm making $8 a bottle. I'm making 30,000 in one shot.
Yeah.
And it was very clean. Like, I'm not killing myself. the liquor store is cool, but people throwing up. It's a mess.
Whatever,
It's a mess.
yeah.
You don't want to deal with that all day. So then the second day we closed, he says, come to my office to pick up your check. And I go to his office in Syosset. And, this is the first time I've seen a mortgage bank. I didn't know what I was walking into. Mm-hmm. And the receptionist says, he's waiting for you. I pass this whole bullpen. There's people screaming on the phone. There's numbers on the wall. 150, 250, 300,000. I'm like, okay. I'm just taking it in because I have no idea what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. I walk in, and he's sitting down with me, big office, and he's like, hey, good to see you. Here's your check. He was like, how much you make at the liquor store? And that time I was making like 100 something. And I was like 100 something. He's like, it's pretty good. He goes, listen, I like you. You're educated. You speak 2 languages. He's like, you're making 110 a year. He goes, these guys are doing that and more a month. So going back to those numbers I saw on the wall, I was like, well, those numbers. He's like, those are monthly revenue numbers. Going back to revenue.
Yep.
So I was like, a month? He's like, yeah. I was like, I'll be here tomorrow. Mm-hmm. I hired somebody to take my shift at the store.
Yep.
And I started my second college.
Yep.
I came over there. I started learning about mortgage banking and lending and leverage and all these terms that I went to school, but I never knew what these were. No. And nobody I had known ever owned anything, right? So like, there's nobody to talk to about it. So anyway, I go into that September, October, November, December. And those 3 months, I made like 90,000, and that was it. I was like, I'm sold. I was like, I do this every quarter. I'm Gucci. I'm good. So then I went full force into it. So I just liquidated the store. I just sold everything out. And I just left.
So you were working as a
I was a residential loan officer.
Yeah,
that's how I started.
Essentially originator.
Yeah,
right.
Residential loan officer.
Were you cold calling or like what was
Absolutely cold call? There was no computers. They were like internet. Like it's kind of really aging myself.
Yeah.
There was no like Instagram and shit like that, bro. So you would get these lists. I was like, call these, or I didn't get to redundant dialers. Redundant dialers are later.
Yeah.
I started calling these lists, and the name, it would have a name, the address of the property, and yo, man, make it happen. And I didn't know, like, make what happen. They were like, get them interested in the loan.
And in a refinance, you weren't dealing with buyers.
I didn't know. No.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
They were like, I was like, what's a mortgage, right? So I'm like, fuck it. So I was like, yo, do you need money? That hurts. You start listening to other guys, right? Do you need money out of your equity?
You're learning your scripts.
I have no idea what these terms are, but I'm starting to use them. And I was able to find commonality very quickly with people. Like I would see names and I'd be like, you know this guy? And yeah, like, I've been on the street a long time. Like I had the store. So I ended up running over people on the phone. Mm-hmm. The next week, I did my first marketing email. I know it sounds stupid, but this is before these concepts were out. So I'm like, all right, so I put an email together. Hey, I'm doing mortgages now. If you know anybody needs a loan, let me know. And I just put everybody I know on my phone in there. And that was my first email blast. Yeah. And I just remember them like yesterday. Like these are the things I started doing. The things that people talk about all the time.
Yep.
Nobody taught me. I just figured out to do them. And so that's how I got into mortgages. And then I developed a relationship with an underwriter because I was always curious, right? So I was like, all right, so we sell this. How does it work though? Like I didn't know anything. So when
you first started, it was like, hey, I'll get a percentage of this if I get it done. But now you wanted to learn.
Well, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just like, closing, fuck is that? Piece of paper, right? So I went to the back and I started learning about LTV and asset and DTI ratio and risk threshold and stuff like that. And I would buy them lunch and they'd be smoking cigarettes all day. And I'm like to sort of look at the screen, learn about DU, desktop underwriting, loan prospect, those programs that we use. Yep. And I started learning all that, taking that all and becoming a student so that I could really sell better. Like if I knew what I was talking about, I'd really be able good at it.
Yeah, of course.
But nobody wants you to do that.
You're learning your craft with that.
The heads of the companies don't want you to do that because they just want to make you a sales guy.
Yes.
Right? So so that's kind of how I kept diving. And so I ended up leaving that company to another company. It was a lot smaller. And I just kept diving because the underwriter was leaving. So she was like, oh, I told them about you. They know your revenue. I used to compete against the guy who owned the company. He was at a satellite office, and we used to put our numbers against each other all the time. So we knew each other, kind of. And so I met him, and he was like, this. I was like, yeah, bro, when do I get paid? And what's the earliest I can be here? Yep. So I used to drive to Long Island. I dropped my son off at 8:30 at school and be at the office at 9. First guy in the office. I would leave the office at like 8 o'clock at night for like 6 years. Yeah. For like 6 years. Yep. Like, and now talking to you about it, I'm like, that's fucking discipline. Like,
building your book.
Yeah. Well, I was just I wanted to loan more and more. And the crazy part was, so I started closing deals in the Bronx, right? People heard about me and I started closing deals in the Bronx. And I'm like, there's nobody out here in the Bronx that does this. So in 2012, No, 09, right after the meltdown, like 2010, I go to Soundview and speak to Jose, the owner of the building. I was like, listen, I want to meet clients here. He had just fired, I didn't know this. He had just fired everybody because it was the meltdown. So like it was a closing legal attorney house. So he's like, I don't need all these people. He gave me a key. He was like, man, make it happen. And that was it. So I started showing up there, and and HGRN Street was born. That's what I call the office, because everybody comes to the clubhouse to make it happen. Yeah.
That's an interesting story.
Is it?
Well, it's interesting in the fact that like you could have given up so many times.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like there were so many different instances.
Sometimes you just become like, you need to be a little stubborn, but you really have to look. You have to have the will. I was telling Claudia earlier. You have to have the will and acquire the skills, and you can make it happen.
Yeah.
If you don't acquire, that's the part where you'll always be, the difference between good and great is very small. That's the difference. Like you can be good, but if you don't know what you're really doing, you'll never be great, and that becomes the differentiator.
When did you first feel like an entrepreneur? Like not necessarily like entitled, but like really internalize it.
I don't know. I always, right? I had the store in 99. So I knew if I didn't make the money for the rent, I knew like the pressure. And then I had a run. I think the first time I felt really, really good was like 2011, when my mom said she was proud of me. Yeah, because at that point, reverse mortgages were going crazy, and there was big money in those loans. So I was doing like $100 a month, right? So, and I was like, Mom, I got it. Don't worry about it. We were living in a 2-family. I bought a house with her. We live in a 2-family, and I was taking the pressure off of her. And she's always had the pressure. So when, like, to talk about that for a second, about survival and thriving, survive and thrive, like, when I grew up, it was all about survival. It was like we were always fucked up, we're broke. Like, like it was always like, what are we doing? How are we getting there? And then I was able to give her a glimpse of, I don't have to go to work tomorrow. Like, I'm gonna take a day off. Like, she used to work 7 days a week for $150 extra. I'm gonna go Sundays. I'm like, and when you're young, you don't, okay, this is what it is. And then I wasn't older, I was like 28, 29, but your mom's like, she's everything. She's like older 50, she's divorced again. So she feels that pressure. And if you can, to me, that's when I felt, whether I had $1 million in the bank or negative 50,000 in the bank that day, it doesn't matter. But the pressure I was able to alleviate her from, that was everything. That's not entrepreneur, but I felt good, right? That was the moment. That was like, damn, man. I was like, this is it. This is what I do this shit for, man. It felt really good. It felt really good.
Yeah, I mean, everybody should want to work hard enough to retire their parents.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
You want to work that my parents, right? So I lost my pops in 2009. He was my mentor in real estate, right? So at that point, one of the lessons that he taught me was like, your mother is the most important woman until you have a wife in your life, and you have to treat her, put her on a pedestal, and you got to make sure that you love her and cherish her and protect her, because I'm gone. He told me this before, because he was sick, he had cancer, so he knew he was dying.
Yeah, your pops gave you a lot of game, bro.
He was
Shout
like,
out to your pops.
and
that's good.
And I'm one of 3, right? So I'm the youngest of 3 boys, and all 3 of us have the same mentality when it comes to our mother, right?
Okay.
Once my father passed, we became her protectors. We became the ones that's going to make sure that she's going to be retired, that she has money, if she wants to go on vacations. You have to take care of your parents. And just going back to your story, I mean, I'm getting goosebumps like just talking about it.
That was everything, bro. That was everything. Yeah, that is everything. To take care of your parents is everything.
Yep.
Bro. Yeah.
Yep. Would you consider yourself to be ambitious?
Yes, driven and ambitious, because I wake up, different people wake up differently. Every day I wake up with like go get it. Like, I got to get this. Like, and sometimes my wife be like, stop singing. I'm like, yo, man, we making this happen. It's going to be great. Like, or imagine like a day you have a really big clue. You're like, oh yeah, life is great.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
So, and I'm going to ask you this question. Have you, who in your life, whether it be, parents, spouse, kids, who has suffered, if at all, because of your ambition?
I don't know if that's a great question. I think my oldest didn't have me available as much. I was talking to Claudia about this earlier. My youngest has me at my best version, right? This version of dad is the best. I was more crash out, using that term, when I was younger. And I mean, if I'm stepping into it a little further, like, I come from a real Latin hot-headed family where my mom used to just, rest in peace, Mom. She just beat my ass, right? Like, it was never talked let me talk to you. It was a catch this real quick. And so my oldest got that a little bit from me, but I changed that. And he understood it, but he also understands, like, Dad, it was different. Like, he's told me, he's like, Dad, I seen you on the struggle. I seen you on the come up. I seen, like, I used to work, man, when I had the liquor store in the club, I was up like 20 hours a day. Like, it was crazy. It was unsustainable. But again, going back to not knowing, this is before I was introduced into the mortgage and real estate field. That's all I knew, is kind of what I knew how to make money with. So I'm going to go with it. Right. And then I took it to the mortgage industry, where I'm working 9 to 8 at night. Like, nobody was doing that, bro. These guys were like, and not to shit on them, but a lot of guys in Long Island, they were getting high, right? So they would get a check, like the first and 15 to get paid, and they would disappear for a week. They would get high and go and party, and I'm there every day, because I'm like, yo, you could change your life. You could change your family's life if you really do this. And, like, just to use a number, like $1 million or above a year, you could change shit. Like, the whole legacy of your family is different.
Well, it doesn't even need to be $1 million. For a family, for a household that's only used to their parents maybe making 50, 60 grand a year, and they're on some sort of public assistance or whatever. Now they're making 100 grand a year. That's changing people's lives. Yeah. So, like, I don't want to, yes, $1 million's a great lofty goal, but I feel like every single person needs to define what that number is.
Well, that number should be attributable to, and I'll say this with crazy respect, how many people you're responsible for.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. So my circumference is pretty wide. Yep. I got a lot of little G's depending on O. So that's why I get up every day and I go for it, because I don't want them to feel the same pain I felt. And that's using trauma as, that's what propels me. I don't want them to be like, oh, I can't afford, or I can't eat. Yo, don't say that to me. I'll go crazy. Right. So, I grew up in a place where my mother, if we didn't have enough, if I left the food, she ate it. Like, it became that type of scarcity. So going back to where I'm at now, like, I don't want anybody that I know to ever feel that, because I know that pain, right? So that's what kind of pushes me, and that's why my number is so big, because I have a lot of little heads that be like, oh, Uncle, oh. I'm like, all right, here, what we doing, guys? What we doing? Yeah.
Well, that kind of leads me to my next question, right? Like, how would you define a good life for O? What is a good life?
Taking care of my family. That's very simple to me. Taking care of my family. I like all the extra shit, because so many people hit me up. They see me at events. Yo, I like this. I like the car. I like all the toys too. Toys are fun, right? But if I lost them all tomorrow and I have my health, I'm good. I'm all right. It doesn't matter, because it's the relationships that you have with your family. Like, I've laid my mother to rest. 2 weeks ago, I laid my aunt to rest. It was like a second one. Like,
my condolences.
I've laid a lot of people to rest, and I show up because their relationship with me during my young formative years left such an impression that it's my absolute fucking responsibility to show up. And I try to impress that on my boys. But like, yo, it's your job. Like, people show up for you, you show up for them. It doesn't matter. It's not a money thing. It's a love thing. And like, I was in Puerto Rico 2 weeks ago for a day. I shot up at 2 a.m. I was there. I saw her. We did the funeral arrangement. I left 2:00 in the morning next day. Monday, I was destroyed. Like, my nasal inflammation was crazy from the change in temperature, but I wouldn't, that's my job. That's what I'm supposed to do. Like, that's when I was a kid and I didn't have, my pops was, running the streets getting high. I had these women that took care of me, and I owe that. And I don't say that in a negative way. I say that because I'm so glad to be able to repay, right? Like, socially.
Is there anything that you're afraid of losing at this point in your life? Whether it be, anything, whether it be tangible or not.
No, I mean, you never want to lose people that you love, but I've lost a few already, right? So that pain is real. I don't want to say it, like, my kids are everything, right? They're my legacy. So I just want them to go, like, if I go tomorrow, like, my sons have instructions if I go tomorrow. They don't like it. They get mad. Oh, why are you talking about that? I was like, you never know. Like, I expect to be here forever, but you never know, right? I get hit by a bus tomorrow. So I just want to leave them prepared, because when my mom passed and my pops passed, nobody prepared me. There was no fucking life insurance. There was, yo, how we burying this person? Like, Omar, like, yo, what we doing? Like, and that happened as of recently. My step-pops, like, they called me. I was on vacation. He ends up passing, and I get a call. I'm like, yo, Danny passed. I was like, oh shit. I was like, do you need me to come home? It's my stepmom, but he raised me. So she's like, no, no, it's okay. I was in Mexico at the time with my family. She was like, no, but next week we're gonna cremate him. I said, next week? I was like, why next week? Well, I don't have the money. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna sell you this. Mm-hmm. Yo, man, another guy, when I was a kid who didn't know I was so broke or poor that I didn't know I was poor. That's how broke I was. Like, he bought me my first pair of Jordans. Like, that's the relationship. It was like, again, being there. I was like, yo, I got this guy. This guy had me. That's my job. So I buried him. I buried all my parents. Like, and I do it again. And that's the only fear, is that I don't want to leave my kids in a situation where I was, because I really feel like they're not built like me. Because I had to struggle my whole life. They didn't, and that was on design. That was by design. Like, I do this on purpose. Like, I don't want them to have to be in the same places I have to be in and stuff like that. So they're not built that way. They don't have that. As much as they want to say they do, going back to the jungle and the zoo. It's different.
Yeah. What would you, and I ask this question of everybody who sits in that chair. Okay. What legacy do you want to leave? What do you want people to say about you when you're gone?
That I left more than I took. That's an easy one. That's always how any relationship I have, and that's okay. And I tell my sons this all the time, right? I talk about them all the time because I'm always kind of giving them game. It's okay. If you feel they got over, that's fine. It's it has nothing to do with that person. It has everything to do with you. So if you give more and you feel they took, then you make a boundary. We'll cut it off now. And that's okay. Don't be like, I'm going to get them back. Nah, it's who you are, and that should be everything. So give because of who you are, nothing to do with what you can get, right? And that if we all did that, place would be different.
Oh, yeah.
Place would be different, definitely different.
Now, you have a very interesting dynamic because you work very closely with your wife, right? Mm-hmm. So how long have you guys,
She's my better half forever. Huh?
How long have you guys been married?
22 years now.
22 years. God bless.
22, maybe 23. I'm not even sure.
God bless. Yeah. And have you guys always worked together?
No. That was out of necessity, right? So what happened was.
And I'm sorry, what's your wife's name?
Maggie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Maggie.
Hi, Maggie. So she, I forgot, it was maybe during COVID. I was really busy. All right. So during COVID, the interest rates were super low. So things were moving, right? Yep. And I had the real estate arm. So what was happening, I was getting referred to a lot of clients, and I had some agents, and we're not going to name them, but they weren't doing anything. They were just leaving it all on me. So she was a trainer for a while, and she said, look, I got to help you because you're going to go crazy. Because I was doing showings, and I was a mess. It was crazy. She was like, I'm going to get my license, and I'm going to help you. And the best thing she could have done, because she cares more than I do about certain things. She gives the people the service that if you're going to, and this has become a professional thing now, if you're going to charge a certain amount of money, you have to give a certain amount of service. Like, I see a lot of guys out there like, oh, I'll do it for 1%. I was like, then you're 1%. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's fine. But I can't charge 1%.
We call them discount brokers.
Okay, discount brokers is not me. Nothing to discount here. So, like, we go above and beyond, bro. Like, estates, you're not even the state. I'm changing locks. Anything that you need, concierge, we do it. And if we don't get the money up front, we pay, we do stuff. We pay for money up front, and hopefully we get paid or get it back or reimbursed. And that takes a certain amount of money and a certain amount of manpower. Like, you can only have so many good conversations a day, bro.
Mm-hmm.
There's something called mental fatigue.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There's some days I don't want to talk. I go home, I'm like, I'm done. She's really taking that over. And I'll say this also.
More the real estate arm. So she focused, she got her real estate license.
Yes.
At that point, I imagine you already had your broker's license.
I had the broker's license because I needed it. For certain investors in New York were telling me we're not going to be able to originate commercial loans if I didn't have it. There you go. So that's why I had to get it, right? That's why. So I worked under somebody else.
Remind me to ask you, circle back to that in a moment. But so she got her real estate license. So you're the broker. So you have to sponsor her for 2 years.
Correct.
And she started with buyers, listings, or?
We've been lucky, listings. Because I have a very big network of attorneys. And I'm known as like a full-out lender, right? Like, you went somewhere and the last minute didn't work, your attorney knows me. I don't know why I get that call then. I should get it initially, but no. Let's make it interesting, Omar. He's going to lose $600,000 if he can't close in 2 weeks. Yeah. What can you do? Right? Like, make it happen. And that's happened so many times. Yeah. Happy Monday. And that's happened so many times that it's like normal to me. And I'm like, all right, let me talk to the client. Let me figure it out. Then also there's language barriers, right? I speak Spanish. Some attorneys have clients that they don't speak Spanish. Their clients, how did you take the client? Whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm dealing with all that. And so as you build your book, as we discussed before, like your clients, if they value you and they respect you, they always come back, right? So a guy who bought something, be like, I want to sell it. Can you sell it for me? And by default. So that's how she started. And she has buyer clients too. I don't really, I refer anybody I deal with, unless I know it's going to be an issue and I have to deal with them directly because they're strong personalities. Not to say just some personalities don't work for everybody.
Yeah, it might not be synergy.
Right. But one thing I will say is that she's opened up the spectrum for me a lot because she has a much softer approach. So yeah, I got all these female clients now. They love Maggie. Like, go talk to Maggie. I don't know. Like, I'll do the business part. We're gonna charge this, and this. This is what we're gonna produce. We're gonna produce videos. We're gonna use this. I give them the whole business plan, and she's the service part, and it works out very well.
How was it? How was it balancing marriage and business? Did you guys have any friction at first? Were there times or things that you had to kind of like overcome and understand, and maybe leave business at home, business at the office when you got home?
Nah, she never leaves business at the office. If she needs something, I gotta go downstairs. But one thing we did understand is that like she knows that I've been doing a lot longer, so I'm telling her, look, this is why we should do it this way, and this is, it's obviously a test, right? Because, as a strong personality, you like, yo, and I've been doing it on my own for a very long time. Like, I'm like, this is what it is. But with her, I had to break it down and explain it. And that actually helped me too in terms of communication with like young agents and stuff like that. I'm like, this is why we do this. It's not because we're bored. It's not because we're super expensive, but we're, I on certain listings, I'll spend $5,000 on YouTube ads. Like, you can't metric that. Like, you can't tell a client, oh, give me $5,000 to sell your property. You're not going to do that. But that's where the fee is built in, right? So that I explained that to them. And now that she understands how it works, because she's been very lucky, like our listings go really quickly. Or some of them don't go too quickly. Some of them take a long time. But she sees the difference and she understands now the business part and why it takes money to do certain things. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So at this point, would you consider you having a stronger marriage now that you guys are in business together? Do you think that's?
I think the business has nothing to do with my marriage. My marriage has been strong, and I really, the challenge and the love for it is that we're very different. We look at things so differently, but at the end of the day, we respect each other's perspectives. Whether or not we agree is one thing, but it just forces you to grow. Like the one thing about marriage, and you just got married, so I'm gonna give you a little game. Is that
and I'm partners with my wife.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. So you need this game.
I brought her into real estate.
Write this down.
Out of necessity. I brought her into real estate.
Write this down. So basically you have two people that are growing. They're walking this path and they're both growing. But you got to figure out a way to keep growing together. Right? And that's a challenge. That's why you see divorces. That's why you see some people don't want to hear each other. And you have to. You have to hear each other and respect each other, whether you agree or not. And usually, it's with for me, for example, I'm in decent shape right now, right? She's super disciplined with that. I'm a little more whatever. She's like, no, we're doing this. And, she stopped drinking a couple of years ago. I stopped drinking too. Like, I'm like, all right, let's not drink. Like, it's not that big a deal to me. Where other guys were like, oh, that's crazy. I'm like, is it? Like, when I had the store, bro, I did a lot of drinking. You know what I mean? Like, I used to host a party all day. I was like, not a big deal to me. Like, none of that. Like, I've spoken to other friends and we've had a really positive impact on our circumference of friends. Like, a lot of my friends stopped drinking. Like, as you get a little older, right? Like, diabetes, hypertension, all these things creep up on you. Yep. And it's because of what you do every day, little things that you do every day. You pull out alcohol, all of a sudden, they feel better. They want to be more active. They don't want to look sloppy. They don't it becomes a thing, right? And it's not a negative thing. It's a thing where you just want to become a better version of you, right? And that's a win for me.
One of the things that I say when I pray at night is I just ask God for the strength and ambition to be the best version of myself that I could possibly be.
That's an awesome prayer. Yeah.
I don't do the Our Father. I don't do the Hail Mary. I don't do that. I just have my own relationship, and that right there, what you just said, is what I pray for. Just being the best version of myself and to walk in the path that He thinks is the most appropriate for me at that time.
Can't go wrong with that one.
No, not at all. Not at all. I want to switch gears a little bit to something a little bit lighter.
Sure.
Right? We've talked about business.
Yes,
we've talked about marriage.
Marriages.
We've talked about you. You're a bit of a sneakerhead, huh?
I am. That happened recently. Yeah. I've always been a sneakerhead, but when you get a little older and you have kids, like, it's not really that important anymore. And then so my kids, one got married, one lives in Pennsylvania, and one is 21. He's like in his last couple of years of school. So like I'm able to have a couple more dollars for myself. So yeah, I buy stuff that I like. And have relationships with guys that own sneaker companies. So, it becomes very easy, bro. They be like, you want these? I'm like, yeah, Uber them over. Let's go.
Yeah.
I built a sneaker closet in my house. It's begun at that point.
How many pairs of kicks do you think you got at this point?
Not a lot, like 50. Okay. I know that sounds crazy because the other day I said 50. I was like, that's a lot. But
some people got 100, 200.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I have a friend of mine who will remain nameless that in July, August had not worn the same pair of sneakers once the whole year.
Yeah.
He has a whole building for them.
Yeah, so you're talking about...
He's the next level.
He's got 300, whatever,
He's next level. He's looking for a warehouse to store sneakers.
Yeah. For me, like, I consider myself, I guess, a bit of a sneakerhead, but it's more so like my kicks always got to be clean.
Yes.
Right? Always got to be clean, and, I don't really wear them so often.
Okay.
Right? Like, definitely not on that level where you're not wearing the same pair twice. Right. I definitely do, but, I like to get... I love J's, right? Like, that's my go-to.
Who doesn't?
Always.
Who doesn't?
Always.
Yeah.
What's your favorite pair of J's?
The twos. The twos because that's the first pair I ever got in my whole life. And I didn't know what they were. My step-pop said, go next door. His boy owned the store, Hijinks Sporting Goods in Jerome. They're gone.
I remember Hijinks.
Do you remember that?
Absolutely.
Oh, so
I
Barry.
remember Hijinks.
Yeah, Barry.
I don't know the owners, but I remember Hijinks.
Barry and Howie. So he was like, Omar, go next door. So I'm like.
They used to have the fly North Faces.
Yeah, I was like 10. I was like young. So what happened, somebody ordered the pair of J's, the MJ2s, black lizard skins, and they didn't pick them up. And he goes, I got those sneakers for you. So I opened them up. This is the first time I bought a pair of sneakers that had like this crazy box, and like I'm opening them up like a big deal. So that's why they'll always be my forever favorites. Yeah, because it's my first experience with seeing something nice.
Yep. My go-to is patent leathers.
Okay. Which one? The Breads?
The white with the black patent leather.
Okay. Space Jams.
Yes.
Space Jams. Okay.
Yes. Love those sneakers.
Space Jams are dope.
If I'm thinking about my first pair of J's, and we're gonna date ourselves, right? Your first pair of J's was twos.
Yeah.
My first pair of J's was the with the two holes in the tongue. What is that? Is that the fives or the sixes? I think
the sixes.
With two holes in the tongue.
Yeah, you pull
my
it up.
First pair of J's. My pops.
That's the first one he won the championship with.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe so. So my pops and I was begging for these sneakers, and my pops.
Come on.
I gotta get these sneakers. So he took me. I don't know if you remember. There was a store on Broadway and 231st called Benson's.
Okay.
So he took me to Benson's. Boom, I got them. I want to wear them home. He's like, don't wear them home.
Don't be that guy.
I wore them home.
Of course.
I was 10,
something might happen.
Old. Yeah.
You might wear them. Yeah, you have to wear them.
And you know what happened to me
Somebody
on the way
you?
home? I'm walking and they were doing some renovations in front of the building, and somebody kicked a paint bucket over on my.
Oh, damn, bro.
Yo, my father looked at me like he wanted to kill me. After that, it was just generic sneakers from my pops until I was able to start buying my own.
Yeah.
Until I was able to start buying my own. But
necessity creates innovation. So, like, you had to get a job so you could buy your shit, right?
Yeah, man. Well, I've always worked, right? Like, I always had that hustler mentality. I've always had that ambition. I grew up in a household with a father who didn't have a job. He was in real estate, right? Like, he legit, like, was a real estate broker, not officially, not licensed. Never had a license
but he just
in his life. Commercial real estate. Commercial real estate. Yeah. So you had mentioned that you do investment lending because there's, a gray area, things that you're able to do. So he was a commercial broker, and he was able to help people get mortgages. Okay. And he was every single day. It was like, I got to go out and get money. One of the things he said to me was like, you got to act like you're broke.
Okay, every day.
At all times. How am I going to get money today? Not tomorrow, not next. How am I getting money today?
Work with urgency, right?
If you always had that mentality every single day, you're never going to be broke.
Yeah.
And it stuck with me to this day. So like I always had that in me, right? Like as a young kid, like I worked as a lifeguard, I worked as a waiter, I was a busboy, I was a bartender. I was in college, I was a college promoter. I was throwing parties. I'd book the club and book a DJ, me and a couple of my boys. Like, and I was always hustling, making money. And then when I got out of college, he was like, "Listen, if you want to do real estate, I'll teach you for a year, or go out and do public relations. Whatever it is that you want to do, I will support you."
Right.
And I chose to be with him. And that was 2004-ish. He passed in 2009. So for those 5 years, that was my real education.
Trenches, your second education.
Real estate, man. Like, it was everything to me. And he only paid me for that first year.
Right.
After, I'll never forget this to this day. He says to me, he's like, "All right, you know what today's date is?" I'm like, "Whatever, May, April." He's like, "Yeah, well, today is week 52.
I'm releasing you.
This is your last paycheck that I'm giving you." It wasn't a paycheck, it was cash. Yeah. This is the last paycheck that I'm giving you. How much money do you have in the bank? At that point, I was selling sponsor unit co-ops.
Okay.
With no board approval.
Right.
So I got like $5,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, cool. Now you got to budget that. So now you take that $5,000 and you say you're used to making $500 a week. So you have 10 weeks to figure out how to replenish it.
You have a 10-week burn rate. Yeah, I got you.
And that's how I learned. And I never had a job after that.
Yeah. And what about your brothers? They in real estate too?
Yes.
Okay.
All of us.
The same concept?
My oldest brother, Michael, does property management.
Okay.
So he manages probably, I think the numbers anywhere between 1,000 to 1,100 units in the Bronx, Westchester, and Manhattan. My other brother's an attorney.
Okay.
My father's dream was for all of us to have this family office, and my brothers still operate on Sedgwick and 238th Street. You know Giles' place?
I haven't been there in a minute.
But you know Pigeon Park?
Yeah, I know Pigeon Park.
Yeah, so you went to 143. Pigeon Park is right there, around the reservoir.
Yeah.
So if you look right there, like you'll see, there's an awning there. Midas Management is my brother, Michael. Daniel Padernacht, attorney at law, is there. And then my sign is there too, SMP Realty, but I don't operate out of there.
Okay. Does your brother is he active in real estate? Do you guys do deals?
All of us.
Okay, cool.
All of us.
Okay.
Yeah, all of us do
No,
deals.
but he takes clients and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. He does take clients as an attorney. He works in the courthouse. So that's his full-time gig. He doesn't take a lot of clients at this point because he wants to be able to provide them with that service. So he only takes a specific amount of clients per month, year, whatever it may be. But yeah, my dad's dream was like to have this family office and have this environment. And what he used to say is that, so it was my mom, my dad, Michael, Daniel, Steven, 5 of us. As individuals, you have 5 fingers. You put them together and you work as a family. You got a fist and you can knock anybody out.
I like that.
And that was the mentality.
That was visionary. I like that guy.
That's the mentality I grew up with, man. And I'm in the process of writing a book about him right now.
Let me ask you a question. I know it's your podcast, so I have one question. Because I've always been the guy, the patriarch, like the top guy.
Yep.
You're the youngest.
Yep.
How's that relationship with your older brothers? Do you go to him for advice?
It's amazing.
Is it?
It's amazing. So my father was the guy that I always went to for advice.
Of course.
After my father passed, my 2 older brothers, I cannot understate enough how much they stepped up and helped me, because I was young. I was 27. I guess, listen, I say I was young, but I do not,
young, bro.
I do not take it for granted that there's people who grew up without a father.
Yeah.
I had my dad for 27 years. He taught me how to be a man. But at 27, I was drinking a lot. I was smoking. I was doing this. I had my real estate license. I was making money. I was hustling. But my brothers, I cannot understate enough how much they helped me transition into becoming the person that I am today. At this point in my life, they are still my go-to when I really
Was it a conversation like, yo, I want to talk to you? Like, Steve, let's talk to you. Let's slow down a little bit. Like, no, it wasn't like that. No. Okay.
It was not. I mean, listen, time to time, it's like, yo, dude, you're fucking drinking too much.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, you need to wake up.
So they were dropping
early.
little gems on you.
Yeah,
right.
but it was that tough attitude. Like, it was like, yo, it wasn't the fucking, let me hold your hand. Why are you drinking so much? Let's talk about why you're drinking so much. No, it was like, yo, dude, you want to make fucking money? Yeah. You're showing up at the office at 12 o'clock in the afternoon.
You're self-destructing in front of us.
Yeah, what the fuck are you doing? It wasn't like,
different coddling. People here, listen, some people will take negative reinforcement well. I think I'm from that generation, right?
Me too.
Other people it has to be put in positive reinforcement. It's just like, I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was like, there's like, you have a big thinker, somebody who wants just get me to the end, and then you have somebody who needs the details, right? They're not wrong. They're just very different. That's all it is. It's just a different way of learning, a different way of receiving a message.
Well, are you familiar with the DISC method of personalities?
Yes.
So the DISC. Dominant, introspective, social.
Everybody, do they all take the test before they come work with you?
I make people take what's called the KPA, Keller Personality Assessment.
Okay.
And it's a 40-minute test.
Damn.
Not a test, excuse me. It's just a personality assessment. So there's no right or wrong answers. But I get back, it spits back to me. It tells me how, if it was you, it would tell me how you like to learn, what work environment you'd excel in, your personality type, all these different details. So that way when I'm interviewing you, I'm not trying to fit a square peg into a round hole.
I get it. Yeah.
If you're somebody who doesn't like to sit in an office all day and you need to be social, why am I going to put you to be an admin?
Yeah.
I'm going to put you on the phone. I'm going to let you talk to people. And also it helps stop arguments later on, because if that's not who you are, I can't expect you to change that. And why would you want to put somebody in a position? So yes, I do. I make them take the KPA, and sometimes I do the DISC personality, but I could pretty much figure it out. You and I, very similar. We're high Ds. Pause.
Pause. Everybody paused over there.
Very, very dominant,
Yeah.
right? Like risk takers. Like that's our personality. Your wife and my wife actually, they need the details.
Yes.
They want to know what it is and lay it out. And me, I don't need to know. Listen, dude, let's just get it done.
Get it done.
You know how many times I'm talking to somebody, and you probably go through this as well, and they're explaining, and I'm like, yo, dude, just get to the point.
Yeah.
Please.
When are we finished?
Yeah. And what do you need me to do?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so they're very just different personality traits, and they need it. They need it introduced to them in certain ways, right, to be effective.
Yeah. So my brothers, yes. To answer your question, just to go back to that, they were extremely important in me transitioning after my father died. And to this day, man, like I just got married, and you know, my brothers, they call me up and they're like, yo, what do you need? You know, they're in my wedding party. Like, what do you need? You need money for this. You need this. You need this. Like, they're my protectors, and that's how my father kind of raised us to be. You look out for each other, no matter what the fuck happens behind closed doors.
Yeah,
the world don't need to know about that shit.
Yeah. Keep that behind closed doors.
You present and truly, I am my brother's keeper. Like, you have to defend your brother till they die, no matter what. Till you, I'll take a bullet
even if
for
you
him.
disagree, right? Because later,
In public,
we're gonna talk about this shit later.
Yeah. But in public, ain't nobody talking. You know, like I could say whatever I want about my brother, but nobody else is gonna say shit about them.
Yeah, I get it.
You have siblings?
I have a sister.
Yeah. You're younger than you.
Yeah, a decade younger. So I'm more like a father figure. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Nephews, my little ones. It's her kids. Yeah.
How's that dynamic, that relationship?
You know, I was with her and my aunt. Was it 3 weeks? 3 weeks ago. I have a big family, and I'm sitting there at my aunt's birthday party. No, lie. It was a week ago because I was in Puerto Rico the week before. It was her birthday party. She's 78, and you got love your OGs because they're not gonna be here forever. Just FYI, as an OG, I'm saying that. And I'm looking around like I have nothing in common with these people, but they're my family, right? Like if you put us in a room, you're like, how do they know each other? My sister's the same way. She went to private school her whole life, and we just came out very different. It's all good. I love her, and I promise my mom I'll take care of her. And
there it is.
I do that. Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
If you so your kids, walk me through it. How many kids you got?
3 boys.
And how old are they?
30, 25, 21.
Do you have grandkids yet?
No, thank God. I'm not that old, bro. Come on, bro.
All right, so I asked that to ask this question. 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now, your grandkids are listening to this episode.
Yeah.
What do you hope they take from it?
That I was a stand-up dude, or now I got to talk to them.
Yeah.
All right, grandkids, so pay attention. Do what you say you're going to do, even if you don't feel like it afterwards, right? Just be a stand-up dude. Your handshake is your word is bond, and that should be inconsequential of anything else. So no contracts not needed. You say you're going to do it. Follow through. That's it. Spoken. Yeah.
You're going to bookmark that.
Yeah, because that's important, man. I think too many people look for a reason to justify that they don't have to do what they said they were going to do. And somehow in their mind, they legitimize it to themselves. I'm like, yo, listen, I've taken L's on deals because it's the right thing. I was like, I hate you. Or I'm, whatever. Let's sign it off. It's done. Get me out of here. Let me get to the next deal, right?
Yeah.
So other people, they'll dig their toes in for stupidity. And I think it becomes ego. And as I get a little older, I understand that the ego can hurt you as much as it helps you, right? You use it positively, it's great. If you let it run you, it'll fuck you up. So
that is an amazing message to leave your grandkids when they listen to this.
Yeah, when they finally show up.
I'm gonna transition to something new. I was telling you about these cards I got, right?
Yes.
All right. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do. I sometimes I do like, and for those of you that have been watching, sometimes I do, this or that, or like. But these are questions that are 3 stages of your life, right? Some might be deep, some might be simple, might be a short answer, might be a long answer. So I'm gonna lay out a couple cards here, and I'd like for you. Actually, here, you know what? I'm gonna do this, and you could pick.
Dealer's choice.
Yeah, dealer's choice, right? Okay. I'm going to lay out 9 from each one. I'd like for you to pick from each category: early life, midlife, right?
I feel like I'm in Vegas, baby. I'm in Vegas right now.
You play Hold'em at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, I played Hold'em the other night for the first time in like years, and it felt so good. Right? I was in a tournament, and it felt so good just to get the chips in the hand again,
Yeah.
Shuffling, dealing. All right, but while I'm doing this, so early life. Start with early life. So pick a first card for early life. You're going to read the question and give an answer.
All right. Did you play sports in high school? No, I did not. There was no money for that. Next question.
Midlife.
What was one of the most difficult parts of your marriage at that time? most difficult parts of our marriage at that time.
At any point, I guess.
One of the most difficult parts of my marriage is understanding that it's now not just about you. It's about two people, and you're responsible for that person. I feel anyway. So yeah, it's about merging two lives. Like I said earlier, it's about merging two lives, not just what you want all the time.
Yep. And do me a favor, just make sure you're keeping your eye.
My bad. Sorry.
Yeah. All right, so go ahead. This is, I guess, later life or now, like later more as an OG.
What is a dream you let go of? Going to the NBA.
All right.
Yo, we could dream. All right, it's a dream. I didn't say I was that good. I just said, yeah, I don't think I'm going to the A, man. I better find something else to do.
All right, back to early life.
Okay. Could you tell me a story or a memory of your brothers and sisters? Memory of her. I remember one time my mother made me watch her. I was like 12. No, I was like 14. She had to be like 4. And I remember I slammed the basketball down, and she's walking, and the basketball just ended up hitting her on the head. And I felt horrible about that. My bad. That's a memory.
All right, here we go. Midlife. Or, in your 20s probably.
What are some of your proudest professional accomplishments? I spoke about this on the other podcast. I think one of the proudest accomplishments I've had is that when I first bought the house with my mom, I inspired the rest of my family. Like, they were like, yo, I got this lawsuit. Make this happen for me. Like, I started a movement within my family that wanted to become homeowners. And I changed the thinking. Now a lot of my family members are homeowners. One of my cousins has multiple properties in Pennsylvania. Like, they're moving now. I broke that chain, right?
That's generational wealth.
Yeah. So,
it's a proven fact that people who grow up in homes where their parents own the home end up with an advantage.
Yeah.
And not that I grew up in a household where we rented. My parents rented my entire life. But people who grow up in homes, they have better chance at college and the equity that they're left when their parents die. So that is amazing that you were able to set that trend off in your family.
I put the team on, and and the kids, right? Like, I speak to my kids all the time. I'm like, yo, man, as an owner, like, you go to certain hoods and there's trash everywhere, and you're like, even Manhattan right now, it's like a mess. Times Square is like nasty.
Yes. I
come home, I'm like, yo, man, everybody gonna trash my lawn. Like, you take care of it. So it's a whole different way of living. You know what I mean? The standard of living has been raised, and I'm glad I was able to propel my team to do that.
All right, let's do one more from later life.
Has religion or spirituality played a part in your life? How? Actually, yeah, I'm really spiritual. I'm not denominational. God bless you. I was raised Catholic. I did all my sacraments. My wife is agnostic, and we're very spiritual. I believe in a higher thing. I believe in frequency and energy, and I believe in other planes of existence. So yes, but I've always believed in doing the right thing, and I think that's always paid me back tenfold. So yeah.
So when you're talking about spirituality, so you were raised in, I guess, the Catholic Church?
Bro, heavy Catholic Church. Church every Sunday, all that stuff. Yeah, heavy.
I don't even mean, no pun intended. Oh God.
yeah, heavy. And in Puerto Rico, it's even worse. In Puerto Rico, there was nothing else. There was church on Sunday, and then they had the church school, whatever. And
CCD.
Whatever that was called in Puerto Rico, and they're making me listen in Spanish. I'm like, whatever. But yeah.
And so, how does spirituality play a role in your life? I mean, do you pray? Do you still go to church? Do you not?
I don't go to church. When I pray, it's more of a conversation. And going back to what you said earlier, not to steal from you, but my one prayer has always been my whole life, has always been like, just give me the strength to wake up and I'll make the rest happen. That's really, as a kid, man. And even when my mom was really sick, and that was a really tough time in my life. It was just give me the strength to wake up tomorrow. I'll figure it out. It was never like, some people, I wish for money. I'll figure it out. Just let me wake up. I'll take it from there.
Beautiful.
Right? So that's really, I've always been accountable that way, I think. Yeah.
Tell me about the shirt you're wearing. Is that a one of one?
No. I got these are dropping. This is the Hustler shirt, Monopoly Man, Monopoly.
But this is your own brand. This is your own.
Yeah, Monopoly O. Yeah. So this all started in 2016 when the Cavs beat the Warriors, right? So the Cavs beat the Warriors. LeBron steps out of the fucking plane with the fucking the trophy, and he has on the Ultimate Warrior shirt, WWE. And I was like, to me, that was like, I felt like he was talking just to me. I was like, oh shit, Ultimate Warrior beat the Warriors. I love it. So that became very important to me, like messaging, right? And branding. Right? I mean, obviously everybody talks about branding now, shit like that.
Yeah.
So for me, messaging is very important. So, I mean, look, we all have nice things, Givenchy, whatever, but I like my own shit. And the reason I haven't, like, people ask me, oh, do you have a store? I'm like, not yet, because the issue with me has always been quality control. So I'm only gonna wear it if I believe it, like if it's good material. I've gone through a lot of different, I'm not gonna bore you on the pie, but the shirt I use is Next Level. I've used so many different shirts. I hate the thread. When you work out, feels like, it has to feel a certain way. So I finally found the shirts, and then I do small runs, and usually people that I work with get them and stuff like that. My clients, there's certain clients that request. Yeah. And I've closed a certain amount of deals with them. They get them. Yep. Will I eventually have a shop someday? I think so. But it's it's for me. It's really for me. And I love that my nephews and my little they all love they all want to rock it. It's dope. I try to do things that are like clever. That's a word I use a lot. I like to do clever shit. I did the HGRN with the Knicks logo. Like,
well, I wore that on the show.
Kind of like Kith,
I wore that on a pod.
Right? So
the next day after we had lunch, I wore that on a pod.
Yeah, kind of like Kith, and like. I don't know. Will I eventually have a clothing line? Maybe, because I like it. I really like it. I like it.
I feel like it's an extension of your personality.
Yeah, absolutely. And and expressionism, right? Like, why do we drive certain cars? Why do we wear certain sneakers? Why do we wear certain jewelry? Like, it's all expression of who we are. So I'm a big believer in that. And because I didn't find something that kind of fit, I kind of started making it, and it became a thing. It became a thing. Yeah. When I first started wearing them, I used to get DMs, yo, where I get that shirt? Like, and I was like, okay, people like it.
Refer me a client.
Yeah. Exactly. No, buy a house. Yeah. One of my clients was like, well, when am I getting your shirt? I was like, when you buy a house, bro. He's like, that's kind of expensive. I was like, it is what it is, bro.
Or refer me a client.
I kept it with buy me a house. Buy a house with me, and you got a shirt.
And you see, I got the Monopoly back here.
I love that. Yes.
I got the Monopoly back here, so it goes with the shirt.
Yes. So I got to get your shirt. I got to finish branding it with HGRN Capital, and we'll do it. Yeah, I got the hoodies too. Yeah, man, and I like wearing good shit. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm fancy. I don't know.
Nah, dude. Listen, you are who you are, man, and you can't. You can't necessarily change who you are. And the fact that you've worked so hard in your life to get to a point where you can have nice things and live a life that you want to live is super impressive, coming from, some of the places that you've come from. Yeah,
the one thing I want to say also to the younger generation is that, and I know the word, I've said this before on the pod, actually in this room, so I'll say it again, is like, don't let your insecurities determine like what you want to try. Like, be who you are. You're one of one. You're you, right? And that shit is special, right? That's it. So grab that, right? Know that, own that, shit'll work out. Because so many kids, like, they kind of devalue themselves. I'm like, why? And not to shit on their families, or they hear certain things at home. It makes them feel that way. And luckily I had the other thing. I had my mother who overvalued me. So, I love you. You kill somebody, just come home. I'll tell them I killed them. I'm like, what? Yeah. Real Latina mom, man. Like, she was wild. And I was like, what are you talking about? But that was the love, right? And that's the love I try to give, and that's the way I try to love, right? Yep. I try to teach my kids to love that way. Yeah.
So what I'd like to do is that one right there is your camera.
Yes.
Just tell people how to get in touch with you, with social media, any contact, and whatever you want to do.
If you don't know how to get in contact with me so far, it's Ask Luis Omar on any platform. If you Google me, I'm there. That's on purpose. And I'm buying more websites to get more real estate virtually, because I've been working on that too. We can talk about that off camera. So all the funnels lead back to man, and I love it. AI. Let me just go on a rant real quick.
Yeah.
AI. If you're doing it, AI will make you really do it. So don't be afraid of AI, because it accelerates you. It's like having a 1,000,000% co-worker with you at all times. Like, if you really fuck with ChatGPT, be like, Chat, what do you think about? And he always comes back with that energy, like, and then you get hyped. It's crazy, right? Like, if you're the right person, if you're lethargic, I use that word on purpose, then you're gonna be lethargic, bro. You just get swept to the side. But get on the game, bro, because it's getting so much easier. It's getting ridiculous. To be better is so much easier if you really try.
The information's out there. Just go get it.
Yeah.
Just go get it.
Yeah. I've been. My wife put me on a chat heavy and going crazy with it. Yeah.
I've actually been toying with Gemini lately.
Okay.
Yeah. So and I kind of like it, to be honest.
Like, they're all different, just different models of the same thing.
Yeah,
right?
But like I like it because it integrates so easily with Gmail.
Oh,
So
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, so like if you have Gemini Pro, when you go to write an email in your Gmail, it says "Help me write." So instead of me copy pasting from ChatGPT over here and putting it here, Gemini's right there built into your email.
Okay.
And then on the side, it comes to the sidebar. It says, so if me and you were talking, it's like, all right, cool, let's meet up Thursday at 4. I go to Gemini and I say, okay, set an appointment in my calendar for 4 o'clock with Omar.
Damn.
And then boom, just like that, it's in my Google Calendar.
Oh, so I gotta check out Gemini.
Yeah.
I mean, Facebook is gonna come up with some other shit, Meta, because they have the glasses now.
Yep.
So everybody's trying to get you to use all this stuff.
Yeah, it's just a matter of using the tools that are at your disposal and being able to pack up your tool belt and be able to use these things, because I feel like there's no way that AI is going to replace realtors and or lenders, but the ones that don't adapt to it and use it will get left behind.
AI doesn't have emotional intelligence. That's the biggest thing. It doesn't have emotional. So that's the superpower, guys. Just free game on Padernacht Podcast.
Yeah.
They're not human. They don't know. They can't read the room. They can't see you start sweating when you hear certain things. They can't see those things. So that's your superpower. Now, if you take AI and use that while you're working, unstoppable.
It really just makes me 10 times more efficient.
Yes.
Like, dude, you know how many times I'm sitting there like typing up an email? I'm like, yo, what am I doing? I'm just gonna go right here, boom. Yo, boom, say this, and it pops out. And now I don't just do. So again, like going back to like when I was a kid, and it was like plagiarizing and whatever. Like, but like you take it and make it your own. Yeah. I don't just insert the whole thing.
You read it.
I'll read it real quick. I'll change a couple things or whatever, and that's it.
Yeah.
Anyway, dude, listen, this has actually been exactly what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, dude, this fucking episode was awesome, bro. Thank you so much for joining.
Absolutely. And stay tuned for him to be on my podcast.
Oh yeah.
Part 2.
Yeah, can't wait. And then we got to get that other thing we were talking about.
Yes, we won't tell you what that is.
Not at all.
We lifed on me. We had to adjourn some things, but we're gonna get back on it.
All good. Guys, this has been another episode of the Padernacht Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, and stay tuned for next week's episode.
Thank you.